Hello and welcome back to a brand new inter-equity trading video. Today, we are going to be kind of backtracking a bit and I'm going to be showing you guys a step-by-step process on how to become profitable. Basically, if I had to do it all over again, all the way from square one, and I'm going to show you guys the most efficient step, the most efficient journey to reach that stage of profitability. All right, you guys are gonna enjoy this one, so get your notepads out, take those notes. If you guys enjoy videos like this, please leave a like down below, a comment with future videos you guys wanna see from us. Turn those noties on, we got lots more content on the way. Let's hop right in. All right, guys, so this is gonna be your roadmap on how to become profitable in 2026, the most efficient way. Not the quickest, but the most efficient. I'm gonna show you guys everything that needs to be done. Okay, so we're gonna start from square one, and that is gonna be learning the material properly. I kind of wrote out a step-by-step process on what you guys should be following. Study the material thoroughly before applying it to the charts. Now, restudy the same material and apply it again for a deeper understanding. This is something a lot of traders actually don't understand, especially in the learning stages, is that as you grow as a trader, you will actually absorb content and material differently. Now, what do I mean by that? When you watch a piece of content in the early stages, and then you actually understand it to a certain degree, weeks or months down the line, if you actually revisit that specific piece of content, whether that's a YouTube video or whatever kind of content you're watching or studying, you'll actually notice that you didn't pick up certain things you did before. So how do you use this to your advantage? Simply watch videos, study. Now later on down the line, do not be afraid to go back to those same videos and rewatch them, because I promise you, you will actually soak them in differently. Consistency and repetition is critical in the early stages of trading, okay? What do I mean by that? You want to build experience, okay? And that will only come by consistently showing up and repetitively applying all this content over and over and over to your charts. Another very important step is backtest your system repeatedly to train your eyes. Without this, you will struggle to see setups in the live market. So I actually get a lot of messages about this. People will say, "Oh, Marco, I understand your concepts, your system, and I love it. However, when I go to the live charts, I struggle to find setups in live time." The reason this is because you simply lack experience. How can you build that experience? How can you train your eye? From backtesting. However you want to do it, there's a bunch of different tools out there, a bunch of different platforms out there, such as TradeZella or FX Replay, whatever you want to use, or even TradingView itself. Use the bar replay tool, okay? Backup time and backtest, okay? Build that experience, train the eye to see these setups over and over and over. And then moving on to the final step, which will be live test your system as well. Train yourself to recognize setups in real time. Backtest first to train the eyes, and then start applying these concepts and finding setups in live time. You cannot have one without the other. I promise you, this is the most efficient way of going about it. Test from the backtest stages, and that will build experience, that will train the eye. And then when you show up to the live price action, you'll notice that you find these setups more and more. All right, the next slide is gonna be learn about yourself. What do I mean by that? Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Push your limits and test yourself. In my humble opinion, in the early stages of your journey, do not be afraid to make mistakes. Try new things, okay? Maybe find a strategy that you resonate with, try it out, tweak it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. The thing is, once you make mistakes, when you're early in your journey, it will help you learn quicker and quicker and quicker. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, so the next slide is gonna be learn about yourself. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, push your limits, and test yourself. Now, in the early stages of your journey, you actually want to, and I say fail, I'm gonna quote this, fail as much as possible, because when you do, that's when you learn. The more failures you have in the early stages, I wouldn't worry too much about it, because in the early stages, you want to learn, you want to soak in as much information as possible, and you want to grow as much as possible. Now, how do you do that? You need to fail, because when you fail, you learn. You have to make sure those failures turn into lessons though. Don't be someone that makes a mistake over and over and over and over and you don't learn from it. You have to turn these mistakes into lessons, and naturally you will see immense growth. Now, another thing you need to be doing as a trader in the early stages is identifying your strengths and weaknesses as a trader. So if you're someone that maybe you don't struggle to pull the trigger. When the setup comes along, you're not afraid to press buy or press sell. However, maybe when the entry comes along, you're afraid to put on risk, right? So you don't have too much of a risk tolerance. So these are things you need to be able to identify as a trader. So gather data, apply your concepts, and trade. And over time, you will learn what you're good at and what you're not good at. And then you want to turn those weaknesses eventually into strengths, okay? The only way you can do that is if you literally just practice it. So for example, let's just say you're afraid to take entries. You're afraid to press that buy button or that sell button. The only way you will get better at it is if you actually press buy or sell. That might sound crazy a little bit, but you actually just need to put a checklist in front of you. Now, if it checks off A, B, and C, you take the entry. Over time, naturally, it will just get easier and easier and easier. And the last point we have here is accepting your losses as part of the process. All right, we're gonna be moving on to the next slide, which is gonna be debatably maybe the most powerful one. This is gonna be quality over quantity. I need you guys to understand this as best as possible. Focus on high quality opportunities. Remember, our job as a trader is not to show up every single day and take trades every single day. We're supposed to show up every single day for those consistent reps. However, we do not need to trade every single day. And I know a lot of people probably don't understand that, but you gotta dig it into your head. You want to start training yourself to find the most highest probable setups by trading the most highest quality setups. Just because maybe there's a setup in front of your eyes and subconsciously you're like, it doesn't check all the boxes, but I kind of still want to take it. Those are the ones you want to stay away from. Take the trades when you're confident. Don't just take the trades to take the trades and stack up that quantity. We need to keep that quality very, very high. So just like I say here, avoid forcing trades. Don't just take trades out of boredom. Again, that's not what we're doing here. Your goal is to be a professional trader long term. You need to focus on that quality. Fewer well-executed decisions outperform constant activity. Okay, so we kind of already touched on this. When you show up to the charts and let's just say it's a Monday, it's the beginning of the week, you need to tell yourself when you hop on that chart that, hey, if a setup doesn't come along, that is completely fine. It is just as important to know when to stay out of the market and then to know when to get into the market. Okay, capital preservation. Less is more in the game of trading. Okay, you guys have probably heard me say this a bunch of times over social media, on streams, all this stuff. But a lot of people struggle with this a lot. They show up to the charts, they'll end up taking 3 trades in a single day. Guys, all you need, I promise you, is maybe 1 to 3 trades per week, and you will eventually find profitability. Like those results from you taking maybe 10 trades in a week, opposed to taking 4 trades in a week, it's gonna be night and day difference. So try this out and watch the results change. Now the last slide, okay? Remember what we just talked about in the previous 3 slides. Those are all very important. That's like the foundation of learning, okay? Now, this slide is gonna be touching on actually trading, and I'm telling you guys to use prop firms to build experience. Now, if you're a new trader, you guys probably all understand this, but you're very prone to making mistakes. Why is that? You lack experience. From a risk standpoint, you don't want to be trading personal capital in the early stages of your trading journey, because since you're so prone to mistakes, imagine the risk is so much higher for you. So if you're trading a $5,000 or $10,000 personal account and you're making mistakes left, right, and center still almost every single week, you could probably run through that $5,000, $10,000 really quickly. However, if you go the prop firm route, this is kind of like a step-by-step process of what I want you guys doing. So do not buy large accounts immediately. Another big mistake everybody makes is when they go to the prop firm side of trading, they immediately look for that biggest account, whether that's a 200K account, 100K account. And this is like at the very beginning stages of trading prop firms. Guys, do not make this mistake. Please start with the smaller accounts and work your way up, whether that's a 10K account, 25K account. Achieve profitability on these accounts first, and then eventually move over to the bigger accounts, 50K, 100K, 200K. But please, do not skip steps. You need to build that experience. Go from the 25K account and work your way up. Maybe the following year, maybe even the year after, 2 years later, you eventually are trading a 200K account. So just like I said here, focus on building experience and skill. The money will come later. After passing small accounts, so this is very important here actually. After passing smaller accounts, scale up. Use profits from a small account to purchase larger accounts. Okay, so this is something I personally did early in my journey as well. My first funded account was actually only a $25,000 account. I achieved my first payout with those profits, I reinvested and bought bigger accounts. I actually never hopped into prop firms and bought the biggest account right away. And I think that's why I saw maybe a little bit more growth, maybe a little more quickly than the average person, because I started from the bottom, right? Think about this analogy, and you guys have probably heard this. You don't go to the gym and immediately start lifting the heaviest weights. You got to start with the lighter ones and work your way up to the heavier ones. Same thing when it comes to prop firms. You need to start with these smaller accounts, build those reps, build that consistency, gain that experience, okay? Reach a couple payouts on these smaller accounts, and then eventually you will buy these bigger accounts, but do not skip steps. Work your way from the smaller accounts into the bigger accounts. I promise you, you will have a much smoother process if you trade like this. All right, guys, now you have the roadmap starting all the way from the learning process and then moving over to prop firms. You have the step-by-step process on how to achieve profitability in 2026. Please apply everything I've just shown you. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, a comment down below, turn those noties on. We got lots more content on the way. We'll talk soon, guys.